get your thoughts on this and what we should be thinking about from a pre and also a post-COVID perspective. I'll pass on to you, Chaturanga.
Thanks, Shahan, and good day to all of you, because you are joining from many parts of the world. And thanks to SEMA for organizing this. What I would basically bring out into the table to start off with is a perspective of change and how we should change from a pre-COVID and a post-COVID context. So let me share some slides so that it helps me to guide you through. Shahan, do you see my slides?
Yes, I can see them. Yeah.
Is it clear?
It's looking at high definition to me.
All right. Okay. So for me, the post-COVID, the COVID outbreak, first we need to understand it has made a lot of impacts, both business-wise and also in terms of social, economic, and political angles. Every country that we understand is going through different phases of management. Some have been able to manage the virus pretty well. Some have been able to manage the virus plus the economy. Some are struggling. So this is probably far as the largest risk that we faced in our span of work life. And then if we discussed about change and risk earlier, there wouldn't have been any place where we would really felt the risk. So if you really look at change management in organization perspective, there is one fundamental, actually there are two fundamental things that need to be true for people to change. So one is that the organization needs to understand risk at its right context. And then the leadership has to adapt to change so that they can drive change in people. So how I would like to take this today is that even COVID has posed huge risk on certain across the globe, economically and socially. We have this opportunity to learn from this and upskill ourselves and organizations on things that we did not prioritize before COVID. If you really look at before COVID even, I mean, I've been an evangelist, data evangelist for about 4 years now. It was a huge struggle to help make people realize the need of change and how we need to adapt to face the new world. So I basically bring it in these 4 letters, C, D, D, and C, because there's a literal connect. Generally, people talk about these 4 aspects separately. I would like to bring it into one context for all of you. So every organization is trying to serve a consumer, right? So, and the consumer, what we known for the last 10 years, changing rapidly. Consumers are becoming digital and they are moving into a sharing economy and also socially communicating very fast, so that business has a literal threat in terms of serving consumer in a right way. And also the digitization has been happening very rapidly over the last 20 years. The process automation and use of platforms and digital supply networks has been a key business priorities for across the globe. And also people have discussed about data, big data, data science, probably the sexiest thing in the 21st century. But if you really look at all these three are interconnected, because consumer is changing and becoming digital, and our processes are changing and becoming digital. This digitization process, keyword is digitization, moving from analog to digital, has been giving us enormous amounts of data. So if we don't have the digitization process, we generally don't have data. My team won't have any data to play with. So the big data concepts are coming through digitization. So we need to understand if there was resistance to understand consumer, if there was resistance to gather data, if there was resistance to adopt digital processes, if there was resistance in the organization to adopt platforms, those organizations never had data and they never will, right? So the data analytics come into play because you are digitized, because you have structured data more than unstructured data, and that because you have the capability to handle this big data in terms of volume, velocity, and variety, you need that technological capability. The last piece to this puzzle is, yes, many organizations did have digital, many organizations did have data, but were they willing to change? So this is the real piece where when the insight is presented, when you said your consumer has changed, were you willing to change your product? When we say when your processes are inefficient, the way that you did early, was the leadership ready to change the processes? So the digitalization, new business models and new work patterns, which we were very reluctant to do, right? Work from home, part-time work, contract work, moving from full-time to consultancy. So there was a lot of resistance in organizations to adapt this. But before COVID also, there was this vulnerability for any organization who was not capable of doing these four things. So I would say any organization who has not ability to understand their consumer first and then not ready to make informed decisions on their processes and supply chain, and not being able to adapt to digital because two reasons. One is your workforce is not their literacy is not good. This has many issues when it comes to different countries and cultures because of the opportunities we have. Not everybody has equal opportunity in this world. So the digital literacy has been low. And then the leadership is being fond of change and driving change. Those those four factors, if the organizations were reluctant, pre-COVID also, they were on vulnerable organizations. Now, what is with COVID is basically if we move a society and the country and the organization as individuals, if we go back to the same place we were after the virus is controlled, there is no point. So after COVID, we need to be better than where we left in January. But if any of us think that we will be better off going back to January, the way we worked, the way we looked at things, way we thought of things, it's not going to make any change or positive change in organization, neither in the society. So let me bring us a perspective of how these things I feel that will start changing. So we are going to truly first-hand experience the Darwin theory, the survival of the fittest. Unfortunately, this COVID has widened the uh, disparities we had. We had disparities, the inequalities in organizations, in society, and in people. Unfortunately, COVID is pulling all these cracks wider. So people are falling, organizations are falling in between. But the survival of the fittest would be in terms of three things. One is professionals. As professionals, uh, five skills I would say to all of you is learning agility. Learning agility is being able to unlearn and learn new things pretty fast. I think as CIMA graduates, we were given a large breadth of knowledge, but most of us, I would say 90% of us, stood on the ground doing one particular role for 5 to 10 years. But few of us has changed their roles every 3 years, moved into finance, marketing, marketing to IT to HR. We have made ourselves diverse and learn fast. So learning agility will become a key skill. And then creativity. The creativity part, that if we have not thought about in that way in problem solving and becoming creative problem solvers, that is going to be a critical skill that's going to pose, because most of the processes and decision making will get automated. Even we resisted early, anything that you do repetitive in your work, if you do things repetitive during the work, will get replaced by digital processors and artificial intelligence. And the fourth is digital literacy. It's not about being able to code, it's about being able to understand what digital means, how it brings efficiency, how do we get into platforms, how we sign into things, how we use cloud platforms, how we talk about digital in terms of when we are using problem solving and solutions. And the last part, not the least, the one thing that human race will always have is the capability of managing people. So if we were a little skeptical on HR management and HR as a function, this is going to be the top function going forward. Early, we had a era of IT, era of finance. Going forward, it's era of people. The CHRO will be the king of all play in competitive advantage. From a business perspective, the organizations who did not offer digital thinking, we are very comfortable. Everybody comes to our shop. Everybody has a way of getting our products and services. Now there is no choice for the last 3 months for them to get into platforms and going digital. So your consumer engagement and sales in digital will be a key thing. And lean structures, we would have built very comfortable fat structures with fixed workforce and not ready to try out part-time, not ready to try out success-based work. Now you have to move into the condition. The world is pushing us to be very lean because you need to be agile to adapt. And automation and digital, if we did not invest early, if we did not thought of process digitization, now it's the time that you need to move into those processes. The future workforce, it actually it's now, it's not future. We were reluctant to give people breaks. We were reluctant to give part-time work from others. We were reluctant to give paternity leave. We were reluctant to give part-time work opposed to full-time work, thought that, thinking that we can't manage. Now everything is like that. We are working from home, things we did not early thought it was possible. My organization yesterday did a cutover from a system, everybody working from home. They, not in their wildest dreams, they thought a system cutover can be done online, right? From a social perspective also, we need to be aware that the society has to change. There has been uh, uh, many many social problems we have created over the times, over the last 100 years, and social equity has been a problem. Now it was there, it was not visible. Now it's visible, it's not equitable. Not many people can have food on the table. And social solidarity, we were working in isolation. NGOs work separately, governments work separately, individuals work separately. Now you need social solidarity. A lot of learnings from many countries that has worked pretty well in this COVID situation, like state of Kerala, the New Zealand, how they managed it, Australia learning from New Zealand. So all of collaboration comes into play. So then we would have seen, as organization people who really work well in a formal sector, there is a huge informal sector in the society which would have not been visible. In our country, we have a 60% informal workforce, not organized. Now they can't demand for anything. They don't have money. They don't have work. Sometimes they don't have employee contract. We are fortunate, but not many. And the safety net, we some countries did not push for safety net. Some organizations did not push for safety net. That safety net means when a difficulty happens, how do we safeguard the wider society and the people in need? So socially, business wise, professionally, we all need to upskill ourselves, because not individually we can win, neither organization can win, because the social angle and the political angle also has to change. So I think we can have a good discussion, Shehan. These are the few points I want to highlight. From this topic itself, I think Jaspreet will take more on the digital and the data skills, as well as Minal will take on the human side of it, and the social side of it, and the emotional intelligence. I'm also looking forward to hear from them. This is what I have to initially share with you. We can take questions at the end.
That's that's great. Thanks so much for that, Chaturanga. That was really insightful. It was really good to get your insights, from what you've been seeing as a data evangelist, as well as some of those thinkings from a social perspective. As you said, it's going to be the year of the people now. We talk about technology, but it's also about how do we best utilize each other, how do we best work remotely, work from home, etc. So really appreciated your thoughts there.